Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee is joining us now. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time as always. So you heard what the president said today about some of this. He also essentially said that he thinks America's credibility is on the line here. So at this point, do you agree with Speaker Johnson's plan to not even put the bill on the House floor at all for a vote?
Yes, ma'am, I do. You know, if you remember when President Trump was in office, he wanted $4 billion to build the wall. And the Pelosi-led House said, no, that would in fact break us. Well, we've given over $114 billion now to Ukraine. Now we're going to give them another $60 billion. And Speaker Johnson came out with this weeks ago, as I did, before President Trump saw it. He saw it as a bad piece of legislation. And I'll guarantee you the majority of Americans think we need to secure our southern border before we start worrying about the Ukrainian border.
I want to get to that in a moment, but first, do you agree at all with the president or with the former President Trump that potentially things should be looked at as kind of a loan instead of just a payment? Or what about putting just elements of this bill on the floor instead of just not bringing it to the floor at all?
Well, the uniparty, as we like to say here in Washington, does not like to have small portions of a bill. See, we do that in Tennessee. You have a caption bill. You can't have a dog catcher's bill and give you a pay raise. It has to be very specific. But in Washington, the big boys don't like that because they tuck it all full of all of their little billion-dollar goodies in their district. And then that's how we get $35 trillion in debt.
Okay, so in your view, not bringing it to the House floor is something that you support at this time. But are Republicans willing to perhaps compromise with Democrats at all? Even the Pentagon warned today that if the U.S. does not stand against aggressors, that our own national security could suffer consequences.
Well, I would ask them, why are we not moving on China, who is imprisoning the Uyghur population, organ harvesting, slave labor, things like that, yet we've not raised a finger. And the reason why is because we've got billions of dollars invested. They have billions of dollars invested here. They're very close to the current president right now. The Chinese Communist Party has their tentacles in a lot of things in America, including our education system. So I dare say that the big boys are afraid to take on China in this situation. And the Pentagon, for instance, they need to keep their mouth shut, ma'am. They have not passed an audit. In the history of audits, they have lost over $500 billion in assets. Now imagine that, $500 billion in assets. Where's all this money going? And how did we punish them over this last cycle? $20 billion in new taxpayer money unaccounted for once again. So I think the Pentagon needs to sit this one out. As I like to say, the war pigs at the Pentagon have gotten us into enough trouble. War is their business, and their business is very good right now.
Well, in terms of national security concerns, let's talk about the southern border. I mean, we've seen a lot of back and forth here from House Republicans in terms of wanting aid to be tied to changes at the southern border, yet a bipartisan bill that did include that was voted down. So do Republicans truly want border policy addressed right now during this election year, or would you rather wait?
Well, why are you all in the media not asking about H.R. 2, which was passed last year, and yet Chuck Schumer is not brought up? That bill, actually, you had to have 5,000 people contacts before they shut the border down. So a day. So 4,999 people a day illegally coming over our border, which we know a large group of those are, in fact, communist Chinese. And we've caught terrorists. They've let terrorists go, then they've recaptured them. I mean, to me, ma'am, the only answer at the border, the only negotiating at the border is zero. Right now, it costs us over $400 billion a year to keep these people up. That's not including the fentanyl, the murders, the rapes. And to me, the most egregious portion of that is the 100,000 children that are disappearing, that we don't know of whatever hell they're being sold into. And again, it's really not a Democrat or Republican issue, ma'am. It's the uniparty. It's the people that, when the doors are closed, it's when this bill was done, the people in the national chambers of commerce, not your local chambers of commerce, but ma'am, they want somebody on your roof who gets hurt. If they get hurt, has no legal grounds, they'll be deported. And they know it if they call on law enforcement. That's what they're after. This is about greed, and we need to shut it down. Both parties need to be, they ought to be ashamed of themselves for allowing this to go on for this many years.
Well, I mean, you've talked about past bills, but I mean, this is where we're at with the border right now, and there was an opportunity to get something passed to at least address it, and that's still not a consideration.
Ma'am, what was passed or attempted to be passed is not in consideration. Again, why are you not saying that about H.R. 2, which is passed the House and is sitting on the Senate desk? I'll tell you why, because it shuts the dadgum border down. and the National Chambers of Commerce don't like that idea at all. They want the cheap and free labor that they're getting right now, and right now they're winning.
And we don't talk about that at this moment because that's not what we're addressing at this second. We're talking about this bipartisan bill that can't get through.
Well, H.R. 2 passed, and you all refused to talk about it. Why don't y'all want to shut the border down to nothing? How can you say 4,999 people a day is a good idea? Ma'am, that is not a good idea. We've seen what's happened with the terrorists. We've seen the cartels moving fentanyl. I mean, I'm sure fentanyl, you couldn't go in the newsroom there and see a show of hands, and I'll guarantee you almost everyone in there knows someone who has been affected by that in a very negative light. And we could shut it down right now, but this president and this Senate refuses to do that.
And so when you look at lawmakers, that's what we're talking about here, not the media.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, we've got to address it, and you all need to address it too. You never would bring up H.R. 2. You keep saying, well, it was a bipartisan bill. It was done in a closed room without any other input, but just a few people at the top, and the National Chambers of Commerce had their tentacles in that room, as you and I both know, and that's why that legislation came out like it did. You'll see, if you had time to analyze it, I'm sure there's a lot more in there than I pointed out. But you know,
there's a lot of problems for sure.
Well, the president right now can end the catch and release. He can do which was successful under President Trump, was the Remain in Mexico rules. What's going on right now is not healthy for this country, and we're possibly, and we had several high security people tell us the last couple of weeks, it's public record, that we could be looking at another 9/11 type situation because of these folks being in our country, and we need to address it, both parties.
Certainly problems worthy of a compromise at this hour. Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you as always for your time with us.
Thank you, ma'am.